So we have our paper out and pencils ready. It's time to learn how to draw a gator. But before we start, I want to take a moment and talk about something. I understand that this can look really intimidating for a sixth grader to draw. And that's why I wanted to show you my practice drawings. I have some perfectionists in this class who try to make their work look exactly like the video, okay? But what I want to point out is even when I draw the gator, my gators come out differently every single time. So it's okay if your gator looks slightly different than the one in this video, because even when I follow these steps, my gators come out different. Step 1, make sure that your paper is going long ways. Step 2, focus on the left side of your paper. We're going to lay down some measurement dots to use as a reference. It doesn't have to be exact. Hold down your paper with one hand or hold the other side if you're right-handed. Skip some space from the left side. And I'm going to do this heavy, but you need to do this lightly because we will erase this measurement dotted line out. Skipping some space over from the left side, I'm going to put in a dotted line. If you want to use your ruler to make it more straight, you can. Now I'm going to ignore this space over here. I'm going to figure out what is the middle of this space. I'll place my finger in the middle of this space. It doesn't have to be perfect. And that's where my next dotted line is going to be. This area is going to have a large long ways oval in it. You can either go ahead and draw a long ways oval in it, or you can use the parentheses method. With the parentheses method, I'll find kind of the middle, and I will draw a parentheses, a very large one, over here. And then another large parentheses. It's okay if it goes outside of the dotted line. In fact, it's good if it goes outside the dotted line a little bit over here. And it's very easy to turn this into an oval because after you lay that in, you just do this and this. You need to do that lightly because this oval is going to be erased at the end. We don't want to see a big oval inside of our gator's face. Now on the right side of this dotted line, we're going to make if this is a large oval, we're going to do a medium-sized oval. You might end up putting your oval in the wrong place your first try, so you need to do this lightly. I'm going to skip some space, and not in the middle area, kind of above middle. I'm going to put in a left parentheses and a right parentheses. All I have to do is curve over and under to turn that into our second oval. Notice how this oval is kind of floating, and there is more space down here than there is up here. Let's go ahead and erase out these old dotted lines. These lines were very useful to tell us how wide our ovals were going to be. And they were also useful to help us place the ovals on the paper to make sure that the gator head is in a good spot so we can fit all of the important features on there. Place your finger in the center of the large oval and then drag your finger upward to the top. I'm going to lay in a heavy X. You should do this lightly because this will be erased later. I'll make mine a bit heavier so that you can see. Now we're going to create a circle with this X inside of it. I'll zoom in some more. The circle needs to halfway go inside of the large oval and halfway go outside of the large oval. Notice that my X is on the inside and it's on the left. Draw the circle lightly because this circle will be erased later. This is not the gator's eye, this is the eye area. We're going to create a whole eye area inside of this circle. Place your finger inside of the medium oval. Find the center of it. Drag your finger upward until you find the top center. Lightly put an X here. I'm going to draw it heavy. We're going to connect this part of the oval into that letter X. Place your finger back in the center of the medium-sized oval. Drag your finger down to the bottom of it. We're not going to put an X in the center. We're going to put an X to the right of center, to the right. Do it lightly because we will erase this out. The reason why we did this is because we need to connect the bottom jaw area into that particular X. We can use the rotation of this oval to guide us into that endpoint. This is going to end up being the gator's jaw. Tracing along what I already have, I can go slightly underneath it if I want to build the jaw area up a bit more. Now I have connected the jaw into the end of the mouth. When I zoom out, it looks like this. There's an area in the medium circle that we're going to focus on that I'm going to zoom into a bit. On the upper right side of this oval, we're going to draw a slightly diagonal line. When I zoom out, that's how you can tell how long and just how diagonal that line is. It's almost like the gator has a tongue that he's sticking out. I'm going to revisit this slightly diagonal line and turn it into kind of a letter T, focusing on this new shape that we're making with the diagonal line. In the center of it, I'll draw a line going down. Looks like a letter T. So now it kind of looks like a random letter T hovering next to the mouth of our gator. But really, this is us sculpting the end of the gator's mouth. This oval is really going to help us figure out just how far out and away we're going to curve this next line. From this X to the end of this diagonal letter T, we're going to make a connection, a curved connection. I can either draw a little bit one way and draw a little bit the other way, or I can just round this into there. Taking a look at the bottom of this letter T, I'm going to connect that into this X. When I zoom out, this is what my drawing is looking like so far. Change your focus to the larger oval. Take a look at this eye area. In the center of this eye area, if you make an imaginary line with your finger going down, not halfway, but slightly above halfway, you can put a dot. I'm going to make my dot heavy. You should make yours light because you don't want to see dots later on in your gator's mouth. Take a look as reference. How much space is down here in comparison to how much space is right here? So my dot is higher than halfway. Place your finger on the dot and drag out to the right until you go a little bit past the circle. Then put you another light dot. I'm going to connect these dots with a subtle curve. So it's not a really heavy curve. It's a line that barely curves down. Now, let's take a look inside of the medium size oval. In the left area, I'll put another dot. You should do it light. And in the right area, I'll put another dot. Notice how there's space on this side in that circle, and there's space on this side in that circle. We are going to connect these two dots with another downward curve. I'll curve down a little bit more on this one than I did with this one. So right now we have a gator that kind of looks like Peppa Pig with that smile that's on the side of his face. Let's do a hill to connect this area. I'll also do another hill to connect this dot with our letter T. Going back to our original dot, I'll make another hill. I didn't mean to add all that extra. We no longer need the medium circle. I'll draw some stitches through it to show you. We also no longer need the front side of this large circle. Time to erase that out. If you can see your X's, get rid of those X's. Clean things up. It's hard for me to get rid of my X's because I drew them really heavy. If you can see your dots, clean that up. You don't want to see any dots. On the back part of this large oval, I'm going to draw a slightly diagonal line going off the page. This small circle here on the left side, I'm going to draw a line out, over, and down into that diagonal line. We need to use our erasers to clean some things up. We don't need this X anymore inside of the eye area. In fact, clean up the whole eye area. No lines inside of it, no letter X. Have the eye area be nice and clean. It's hard to make mine totally clean because I drew so heavy. Another thing that we don't need is part of this old circle and this line right here. I'll draw some stitches through it. We no longer need that part of the old circle, and we no longer need this part that's underneath that last curve that we did. So when I erase that out, this area becomes clean. Now I'll make this area become clean. When I zoom out, it looks like this. So we have the gator's jaw. This is the back of the gator's head going into their back right here. We are about to create a cheek muscle and a lower jaw muscle. To create the cheek muscle, that's going to be in this area here, I'll zoom in. It is a little right parentheses going down from that old dot. And then from there, a slightly curved diagonal line. The lower jaw muscle is a long hill in this area. Gators have some loose skin underneath their jaw. So we're going to draw some loose skin underneath their jaw that connects into the chest area. How long is the loose skin? Well, we can use the eye area as a reference point. Let me zoom in a bit more, maybe not that much. If I placed my finger on the edge of the eye area and draw a line straight down, imagine a line straight down and a little ways through the jaw, and put me a measurement dot. I'm going to do my measurement dot heavy so that you can see it. You should not do it so heavy. That's how long the loose skin is going to be. So around like the bottom of the mouth area right here, not the very end, I'll start right about here. I will curve into that dot. Maybe not so much. Do me a little curve going into the dot. From the dot, we're going to curve and go off the page. Try to aim for the edge of the paper. Curving down, over, extending, extending, going off the page. The end of the mouth needs to be reshaped a little bit more. So I'm going to move my paper over and zoom in to the end of this mouth. We're going to end up erasing that part out in a second. We're going to reshape it. From about here, I'm going to bump up even more and curve and just make this area more curvy. We're also going to end up erasing out this line right here, but I'm keeping it there as a reference point. Let's make a parentheses, a right parentheses, right there. Now the stitches look bad, I know. It's just letting you know that it's now time to erase out those old lines where the stitches were. When I zoom out, we're looking like this. There's something missing with this area, and that is the nostril. That's very easy to do. It's a slightly pointed hill. Close, not close to the very, very end where the hill already is, we can extend it right there. That's going to be our nostril. And if you want to clean it up to connect everything else better, you can. Teeth are going to be letter V's, but not sharp letter V's. Rounded. They have a rounded end. You don't have to put your teeth in the exact same place as I do, but to make it look realistic, you want a variety. So every once in a while, I have a very small tooth. Sometimes I have a larger one. And you also don't have to overdo it on the teeth. Like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 teeth is pretty good. What about this eye area? I'll zoom in. Inside of the eye area, we're going to make a hill. A very steep hill. Looks like the gator is super happy and smiling. It's cute. Going to make a letter U, but the letter U is not going to connect to the end of the hill. The letter U is going to be kind of on the inside, and it's a very wide letter U. It's like on the inside of the hill. Now I'm going to erase just the bottom of the eye area to help us focus better. Go ahead and erase just the bottom of the old eye area circle to help us focus. This spot needs to be, this hill needs to be divided into two. And I can do that. Let me just clean some things up some more. I'm just going to put a curve and divide that hill into two. It like fit in there. Now I'm going to connect this hill and this hill together with a very small letter U. And I can connect this hill and this hill together with another small letter U. I want to connect this hill better into the nose, so this back hill I'll draw more so into the nose. When I zoom out, it's looking like this. I find that the next line that we're going to do is easier if we have the paper turned up and down. The line that we're about to do is this right here. So when I turn the paper up and down, we're basically making this. Here's my original, turning my paper up and down. And creating a curve that gets very close to the eye. When I turn my paper back long ways, it looks like this. There's this little detail that I really want to add to really set the eye in behind this curve. When I zoom in, I will go to the end of this hill and have it disappear behind that curve. And I'll go to the end of this end and have that disappear behind that curve. So it looks like an arc is up here and there was an arc down there, but this arc disappears behind that cheekbone and it comes out the other side. When I zoom out, it looks like this. The pupil of the gator is a lot like a cat. They don't have circular pupils unless their eyes are dilated. I'm going to do a diagonal parentheses right here. When I zoom out, that's what it's looking like. We're getting close to done. Last two steps for now are to add this curved area for the ear. They have a funny shaped ear, and to do some bumps on the back. So here's our ear area. You can kind of see the shape that it's already making, how it's curving down right here. It's just a curve that almost disappears back behind the eye. And when it comes to the bumps on the back, they're kind of like rounded waves. You might be able to fit a little more than two. When I zoom out, that's what it's looking like.